Please welcome the SmackDown Women's Champion, Sasha Banks!
Welcome everyone to Ring the Bell, this is Diaz.
I'm your dad bod demigod. My name's Joey Mayberry.
And I am the interdimensional She-Ro, Moxie and Molly.
I am joined by two Star Wars nerds.
Messy hair, don't care. Chewbacca. Ah!
So I'm also wearing one Star Wars t-shirt I have, and then I was like, this looks like something Joey would wear all the time.
It would be. I'm kind of really envious of your shirt.
So today we're going to talk about Season 2, Episode 3 of The Mandalorian. Why are we reviewing Mandalorian? Because Sasha freaking Banks was in this episode.
Yeah, Ando, he had a baby that he's taking back to his family, walking around saying that this is the way.
This review is going to be centered around Sasha Banks' appearance, so it's not going to be like full-on review. What character did Sasha Banks play? I don't think she was ever called in the episode, but the subtitle said her name was Koska Reeves, and she was one of the two Mandalorians that was working with Bo-Katan, right?
Well, I wanted to say, first of all, when you said what character did she play, I wanted to say literally no one that we speculated previously when the first season came out. Literally not who we thought at all.
She was speculated to play Sabine Wren, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, so not at all that person. Something we learned in the episode is these three Mandalorian people who are working together are supposedly, this is the first thing we're learning, a different sort of Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
The Mandalorian that Mando, our main character, is very apparently religious and keeps his masks on, where these ladies and dude are just like, here I am, here's my face, this is who I am.
Which is fun because they're kind of a different sect that's viewing the tribe that Mando's in as an extremist group, which is
right. They're like the more liberal Mandalorian.
We learned that basically Mando's a cultist, and he's a crazy religious guy. I'm like, what? This is our main character?
Yeah, but I will say we did predict one thing right when we covered Sasha Banks going in. It does lead Mando to Ahsoka Tano, which when they said that name, I screamed. I was very excited.
All these characters, by the way, are the ones in the animated series, right?
Yes, Ahsoka first appeared in Clone Wars.
From the first season, everything was pretty contained. The storyline was pretty contained within its own series. But right now, the season 2 with like Ahsoka being name dropped multiple times, Darksaber, and I'm like, what is all these stuff?
We did see in the series premiere that he found Boba Fett's armor, which I thought was the coolest thing.
So Sasha Banks basically played like a brand new character. She was not in other Star Wars universe, right?
Correct.
So let's talk about like the general storyline of this episode.
They just escaped the worst episode of Mandalorian, period, which was the giant ice spider creatures. Never watching that episode again. Basically, they were going there to find more Mandalorians who had tips on where to find the Jedi so that he can get the child to the Jedi, along with his passenger, which was a little frog creature who's taking her babies that didn't get eaten by Baby Yoda.
How does Sasha Banks get introduced is, first of all, she was like creepily watching
The ducks.
at the dock. She was like,
I'm here buying some fish. Oh, who's that man who's a fellow Mandalorian?
we saw that scene that came in the trailer play there. So she was like looking at Mando. She was like checking him out. And then later when Mandalorian got in this like fish ship, and then they were watching this other fish eating this other fish.
Seems fishy.
Mando got in trouble because they threw the baby in there, and then he got caged. And then here come the three other Mandos to save, and then they helped him out. So later in the episode, basically, Mando is in another mission. He always gets like side quests. It's like a little weird game, like side quest. I have to do this until I take baby to the actual planet. Whatever. So he had another side quest, which was to go into this Imperial ship and steal their supplies.
Steal some weapons, but it was kind of an ulterior motive to get him on there so that the leader of this new trifecta of Mandalorians could get the Darksaber, which was apparently being held hostage somewhere on that ship or by another person.
So that was a general storyline that played out. But basically, Sasha Banks' role was she was a cool warrior under Bo-Katan, who was the leader of that clan.
Yes, I will say that once she appeared, I didn't really get to cuddle with Tyler on the couch and watch the episode because all of a sudden you see her appear in the crowd. And I just went, "It's boss time!" And he's like, "No, get off me." She didn't really get to say much. And then when she did, it was more just kind of like, "Oh, I'm just saying the factual things behind, the drama that you two are having."
She did great job counting numbers when the ship was going down.
She could be a ref.
8,000. 7,000. I get it, Sasha.
I mean, that's a good time to shout out numbers when you're plummeting from the sky. I would be doing it too.
So this is how I feel about her role, is not even The Rock is a part of the Star Wars universe. So let's celebrate that she is the first WWE superstar a part of the Star Wars universe. Yes, queen. But also the way this storyline is set up into the grand scheme of everything we know about the entire Star Wars universe, I think there's potential to see those 3 Mandalorians again, either at the end of this season or in a different season. And honestly, the way they put her in there, maybe they were like, okay, we like Sasha Banks, we like her look, we like the hype around her. We don't know if she can actually act. So the way they set it up, they're like, we know she can do amazing facial expressions, so let's give her amazing facial expressions, but maybe she can't act, so let's give her lines only when her face is covered up, and it might not even be her that was in that costume that we're seeing on screen. But I think they did a good job of just like letting her dip her fingers into the pond of acting on the big screen, per se.
The moments that stood out the most from her is definitely when she was having that little moment with the baby when she was eating octopus, and then the baby learned from her.
There was also a nice moment where she was like laying on a ship, like when they were, and her hair was blowing, and I was like, oh, look at her.
I love that moment. I do have to say I was a little disappointed because when the trailer first dropped and Sasha Banks was like big part of that trailer, you have to find the Jedi, and she like emerged from the shadows. So I was like, okay, Sasha Banks probably will have a huge role. It wasn't as big of a role as it was teased to us.
It totally gave me flashback vibes to watching Lita in Dark Angel back in the day, where it's like, oh, she's gonna be this cool badass character, and then you turn on, you're like, oh, she had a fight scene, and then she was on the screen for like 3 seconds,
and then she broke her neck in that scene.
To be fair though, if Sasha Banks' character didn't see Mando on the dock, she wouldn't have been able to go back to her, tribe and let them know, hey, I've seen another Mandalorian, and then they wouldn't have arrived just in the moment of time, nick of time, to rescue Mando, also rescuing the child, meaning the entire story of the Mandalorian is ended. She had a really big character, like she was very integral into us.
I mean, if you put it like that, at the end of the day, she didn't have that many lines.
She did
Who
not.
cares? It's all about the facial expressions, my friend.
Yeah, that said, I understand because this is like her first acting, right? So she did great. She had a cool enough role, like you said, when she was sitting down. She was cool. When she was eating that octopus, she looked hot.
Also, the way they had her hair styled and how she does. I mean, she really only had natural looking makeup. It's a look we haven't seen out of her. Natural hair, natural makeup, the braids being pulled back. It's something we haven't seen from Sasha, so it was nice to see it.
What did you think about the blue armor that she was wearing?
Oh, I was just about to say those. Actually, all 3 of them, like they were crisp. They were Mando, but like sexy. Even the guy that they were with.
They just did a really good job of like making her look strong and fierce instead of just like, the sexy part of being a wrestler. I don't know. But somehow that costume still showed it.
And this episode has some really good action scenes too. And the armor was made so that you could tell it was Sasha Banks killing it in there. And the action scenes are really cool. Like her movements really awesome. When she went in to fight that big octopus, it was cool. Apparently, this armor also shows that she's a member of Night Owls, which is a small squad of a female Mando warrior. So I want to see a series on the female Mando warrior team. That would be fun.
I wanted to see Sasha Banks give that octopus the bank statement.
So I know that this has nothing to do with Sasha Banks, but apparently Baby Yoda had this whole controversy about genocide and was canceled because the Baby Yoda was keep eating those eggs. Did you hear about this?
No.
So the baby got canceled last week because it was like basically doing genocide of the last breed of this species, eating those eggs. I thought it was kind of weird that it was keep eating it, especially when those like really cute-eyed frogs were out there like protecting those eggs.
Well, like in season 1, we saw that Baby Yoda eats frogs.
Yeah.
So now the frog creature is having, it makes sense.
It does make sense, but it's disturbing.
So the fan theory is that he wasn't actually eating those eggs, because if you notice, the mom never notices that any are missing, and you think a mom would notice that. It was that every now and then, knowing that the tank was damaged and those have to stay warm and be incubated, every now and then he was putting them in his mouth just to regurgitate them, just keeping them warm.
They really went out of their way to make this whole theory to like just
Some
not
people actually believe our world is flat. So if they can believe that, I can believe that Baby Yoda was just keeping the eggs warm.
There's a lot of conspiracy theories. There's the Earth is flat. There's the Georgia ballots. There is Eva Marie coming back. There's all these things.
Wait, but there's no leg to that theory at all, other than the mom didn't notice it, I guess.
And also, you know what's not going to have legs? All of those eggs that Baby Yoda ate. I ate eggs yesterday on my McMuffin. It's fine.
Anyway, there is this whole like Vanity Fair article about how Baby Yoda was canceled because of the genocide controversy. It was quite a read. But anyway, going back to Sasha Banks, do you think when they kind of like heel turned on Mando, do you think they're kind of assholes? What did you guys think?
I think they are kind of in it for themselves, that they know that he would be someone to help them out. But also they do view him as a religious extremist and someone that's, you know, kind of parted from the actual belief of their side of the Mandalorian. So maybe they don't value him that much. Yeah.
Everyone is doing that in this series. I'm not going to hold these other breed of Mandalorians responsible. Everyone is changing the deal on Mando. And I think Mando should learn by now. Let's get this in writing and lay out the contract rules, or else you're going to get fired for talking about unionization.
Basically, by the end of the episode, we saw the three of them kind of turn on Mando by going outside of their original deal. So they're like kind of heel turn, but like they're still like help. I don't know.
How about even after they like flipped the script on him and added more to the deal, he was just like, all right, suicide mission, throwing bombs and rushing into grenade.
What do you think is the future of this character? Do you think we will see Sasha Banks again in Mandalorian?
I think we'll see her again. I don't know if she's going to be like consistently reoccurring, but I think that she's going to have like she's going to be a player in the overarching plot of this season.
By seeing the format of the first season, where we saw all the guests that appeared in different episodes all come back on the last two episodes, maybe that's the format of this season too, so we might see Sasha Banks come back at the end.
I mean, that's kind of how you would have to do it in this storyline layout, because like you were saying earlier, it's very much like, here's his next mission, so not everyone can be on every mission with him.
The other thing I kind of wanted to note is that under credit, they used the real name Mercedes Barnado, not Sasha Banks, which we can kind of like link back to the whole Zelina Vega thing that we talked about a little bit. She probably doesn't want to use her WWE name, because John Cena even talked about this. He has to pay WWE for using that name, John Cena.
At one point, this was addressed when The Rock was becoming something big. So when he very first ventured out into movies, he was always billed as Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Yeah.
I think this has something to do with contractual obligations. Once The Rock was out of full contract with WWE, that's why he made the shift to Dwayne Johnson, because he doesn't need them anymore or to make money off of him anymore. I think it's a smart move because she's making that Disney money, and I don't know if...
I mean, there's got to be some sort of contract that they're having that gives them license to use their own name, but still promote themselves as an actor. Because you've got like Batista, who's in Guardians of the Galaxy.
He also goes by Dave Bautista, not the WWE Batista. I think it's a peek into WWE's system with like the name use and how they like owning everything and like taking money, like taking parts of money from WWE superstars. Sasha using her actual name is kind of a peek into that whole system. But I thought it was a little interesting.
Yeah, WWE is a big, huge corporation, but almost no one compares to Disney. And so I'm sure Disney had something to say, like, no, you are not getting any shout out, blah, blah, blah. Like,
All right, so overall, Sasha Banks on Mandalorian, yay or nay?
yay.
I mean,
Yeah.
I liked it. Yeah.
Thumbs up.
Yay. In a galaxy far, far away, it's boss time. I love it.
I really hope we can see her again later in the season so she can go full on into the
Question for you
mainstream
guys.
area.
Do you think we're going to get to see that character lock in a bank statement?
I hope so, to some octopus someday.
Octopus. Why the octopus?
I don't know, just imagine an octopus getting a bank statement.
I just always think about like when The Rock did the rock bottom in Walking Hard, or when Lita was doing the Hurricane Rana in Dark Angel, things like that.
Well, I wish Sasha Banks could have done more wrestling style or lucha style moves in this episode, but she didn't really do that. But she was still cool.
I'd buy that action figure. I might actually.
All right, but that is our review of The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 3 with Sasha Banks in it. It was all about Sasha Banks. But go watch it. It was a pretty fun episode. And yeah, we will not review Mando anymore unless she comes back again.
Oh, this was fun. I want to review Mando some more.
Joey, where can we find you?
You can find me at Joey_Mayberry on Instagram and Twitter. I am Dadbod Demigod on TikTok. I have a YouTube channel, and in about 15 minutes, you can see me eating eggs in my fridge.
You can find me across all social media platforms at that's THEVE, Moxie Molly.
And you can find me at DS Shin and Ring the Bell DS on Twitter. All right, bye.
This is the way.